The small diner near Val Station, Norfolk, was packed with young sailors on their lunch break, their voices loud with the confidence of youth. Behind the grill stood an elderly man in his 70s, his weathered hands flipping burgers with practiced efficiency. His name tag simply read Frank. The sailors barely noticed him, except to complain when their orders took too long. What these young servicemen were about to discover would haunt them for the rest of their lives. And if you've ever judged someone by the job they do, this story will shake you to your core. Keep watching, because this isn't just about burgers. Petty Officer Second Class Jake Stevens and his crew sat in a corner booth, their uniforms crisp and their attitudes cockier. They had just completed basic training and thought they knew everything about military life. Stevens watched the old man at the grill, sweat beading on his forehead as he worked through the lunch rush. "Look at that old guy," Stevens said loudly enough for others to hear. "Bet he never amounted to anything. Probably washed out of boot camp or something. Now he's flipping burgers for real sailors." His friends laughed. One of them chimed in, "My grandfather's a veteran and he's got a corner office. This guy must have really screwed up his life." Frank kept cooking, his expression unchanged. He had heard it all before. The assumptions. The jokes. The casual cruelty of people who thought they knew someone's story by their apron and spatula. The door chimed, and everyone's attention shifted. A tall man in a Navy captain's uniform walked in, 3 rows of ribbons on his chest, his presence commanding immediate respect. Captain Raymond Walsh, the base commander himself. The young sailors straightened in their seats. Walsh walked straight to the counter, and what happened next made the entire diner fall silent. He stood at attention and saluted the old man behind the grill. "Phantom 7, Walsh said, his voice thick with emotion. "Sir, it's an honor." Frank slowly returned the salute, a small smile crossing his weathered face. "At ease, Captain." Just Frank now. Stevens felt his stomach drop. Phantom 7. The call sign echoed in his mind from every naval aviation documentary he had ever watched. Here's where everything you thought you knew gets turned upside down. That call sign, those 2 words, represent a legend that every Navy pilot still studies today. If you think this is just another feel-good story, wait until you hear what this man actually did. This will blow your mind. Frank Morrison. The burger flipper these sailors had mocked was Phantom 7. The most decorated naval aviator of the Vietnam War, he had flown 387 combat missions, more than almost any other pilot in history. He had shot down 11 enemy aircraft, rescued 4 downed pilots under heavy fire, and had been shot down twice himself, evading capture both times by surviving behind enemy lines for days. But his most famous moment came during Operation Linebacker 2, when his entire squadron was ambushed and 3 planes were shot down. Phantom 7 had single-handedly engaged 8 enemy fighters to buy time for rescue helicopters. He took catastrophic damage, his plane barely flyable, but he kept fighting until every downed pilot was extracted. The Navy Cross, 2 Silver Stars, 4 Distinguished Flying Crosses. A legend written in the sky over Vietnam. Captain Walsh's voice carried through the silent diner. "Sir, I flew F-18s because of you. I watched your training videos at the academy. You taught generations of pilots how to survive." Frank wiped his hands on his apron. "That was a long time ago, Ray. Different life. Why here, sir? Why this?" Walsh gestured at the diner. Frank's eyes swept across the room, landing briefly on Stevens and his crew. "Because after all that flying, all that fighting, I learned something important. Real service isn't about glory or recognition. It's about showing up, doing honest work, and treating people with dignity. I flip burgers now because it's honest work. I make food for sailors and remind myself that every person, regardless of their job or rank, has value. Besides," he smiled, "the owner here is a Gold Star mother. Her son didn't come home from Afghanistan. Working here is my way of honoring him." Stevens felt tears burning his eyes. He stood up, his legs shaking, and walked to the counter. "Sir, He couldn't find the words. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Frank looked at him, really looked at him. "What's your name, son?" Petty Officer Stevens, sir. Well, Stevens, you just learned the most important lesson the Navy will ever teach you. Never judge a person's worth by what they do or how they look. Every person has a story. Every job has dignity. And respect should be your default, not something you give only when you see medals and ribbons. He paused, his pale blue eyes holding Stevens's gaze. I don't flip burgers because I have to. I flip burgers because I choose to. There's a difference. Remember that. Captain Walsh ordered lunch and sat at the counter, talking with Frank about old times. The young sailors ate their burgers in silence, each bite a reminder of their shame and the lesson they would never forget. That evening, Stevens wrote a letter to his parents about the day he met a legend wearing an apron. He wrote about humility, about service, and about how true heroes don't need to announce themselves. They just show up, do the work, and treat everyone with kindness. If this story touched your heart, if it made you think twice about the person serving your coffee or cleaning your office, then share it with someone who needs this reminder. We live in a world too quick to judge, too ready to dismiss people based on their job or age. But heroes walk among us every single day, quietly, humbly, asking for nothing. Hit that subscribe button if you believe every person deserves respect, if you believe that honest work has dignity, and if you want more stories that remind us to see the human behind every face. The next time you're tempted to look down on someone, remember Frank Morrison, remember Phantom 7, and remember that you never truly know who's standing in front of you. Choose kindness. Choose respect. Every single time.